We see something here. It's not very easy to image in this situation. Definitely on the second rectal fold probably, but first key point, insufflate. So as you see, I'm just got my finger on the insufflation here. Expand, 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 and suddenly we get a much better view. You can already see the first rectal fold. You can see that this thing is sitting on the second rectal fold. And it looks very bulky, like it's a big 1S or nodule in the mid-rectum. Okay, so from afar, it has some extra redness on the left side. It has a bit of a kind of bump in the middle. Let's go up closer and have a look. So when we spend time looking around, you have quite a clear demarcation line between the left side of the image here and the middle of the image, something for us to look at a little bit more in detail shortly. And then we kind of see it disappears over a fold. The next thing to do is think about retroflection, and can we get on the back of this lesion? But maybe here on the scope we can now see in the distance the back of this polyp. And you can see a little depression in the back of it here, and it starts to bleed from scope passage. Okay, and the final thing to do then is say, well, I've looked at my morphology, I've found a demarcation line, maybe I want to image that in more detail. Just first of all, let's wash off the trauma that we caused with retroflection. Then we'll go closer and we'll just pause the image a little bit. So when you look at that, you can certainly appreciate that it's not completely regular. There's some irregularity there, but the structure is not totally lost. But it might be that we want to spend more time looking either around the depression or a little bit here maybe, but it's quite hard to do. Even with near focus, it's quite hard to get a good image of that without a cap. So we'll put a cap on and show you the imaging of that now. So here we are back with the cap on, and we can get closer. We can just control that focal length much better than we could before. So again, we see the same image really, the kind of irregularity creeping in, but not completely irregular. But there is the impression that when we're using the cap, this thing's moving as one. It's not so supple. And so this is another suggestion that this might be an invasive lesion. So not only do we have here the surface characteristics of disordered pit pattern, certainly JNET2B pit pattern, a regularly irregular pit pattern, but we also have contact bleeding, extra redness on the left-hand side, a demarcated area, and a very bulky lesion where we know that there could be submucosal invasive cancer buried underneath. This is your classic rectal covert polyp, and this is your classic potential malignant polyp in the rectum. Here you really have to think about a multidisciplinary approach, including some form of imaging to assess lymph node status. And here we've done that, we've done an MRI, the lymph nodes are negative, so we're going to proceed with a potentially curative endoscopic submucosal dissection for this patient. Want to know more about that, decision-making in polypectomy, decision-making in the rectum, come join us at GIEQs IV for so much more. See you.